It's summertime and my sister just graduated from high school. After a family party to celebrate the graduation, we, myself, Cousin A, Cousin E, Sister C, and two friends of Cousin A, Friend C and Friend K, retired to a cozy little shed we called the lair. I had previously planned to try DMT, but still alas, have not experienced it. Cousin A said that he did have 5-MeO DMT and I agreed to give that a try, but I wanted to take acid that night as well, and would wait till a still period to smoke the 5-MeO DMT. Cousin A suggested that I try 5-MeO DPT instead as he thought that I may enjoy it. So, he cut up doses for everyone that wanted to try it. To my amazement my sister, Sister C, wanted to try 5-MeO DPT as well. So, in total, everyone except Cousin E took 5-MeO DPT. I figure my dose at around 15 milligrams, as I did not know the measurement at the time, the effects were almost exact compared to my ordinary dose of 15 milligrams I take now. Within 30 minutes, I noticed feeling very relaxed with a bizarre body buzz. I had been smoking weed quite a bit, but this felt different. An hour had passed, and I noticed an immediate peak with intense euphoric rushes. I was smiling a lot and had never felt happier, but I did notice an increase in heart rate as I have also noticed during other experiences. This increase usually only lasts during the peak and fades within 15 to 30 minutes. I had to mention this as people with high blood pressure and heart rate, like myself, may be at risk. Although, I have never experienced a medical emergency during any of my 5-MeO DPT experiences, it may be something to keep in mind and be prepared for. Okay, back to the trip. During this peak, I was so blessed to hear my first taste of the electronic duo, Boards of Canada. I immediately fell in love with the beautiful sound and melodies of these two and now own most of their releases. Sister C reports she is feeling only as if she is stoned. Cousin A acts as DJ for the night and is doing okay. The same goes for both friends C and K. A little later, we decided it's time for the 5-MeO DMT. I was a little uneasy about trying it now. The 5-MeO DPT had produced a little bit of paranoia and it was holding me back. Song playing, the by Aphex Twin, friend C decided to go first. Upon inhaling the smoke, he handed the pipe to Cousin A, and sat back exhaling the smoke. I immediately felt a weird connection to him and got a weird buzz as so did everyone else in the room, I later heard. During the first part of his trip, he looked around with a look of curiosity and puzzlement, as if he had never seen these surroundings. I am still experiencing a connection buzz. Then, I noticed that his entire body appeared to be buzzing. He wasn't convulsing, as everything about his physical condition appeared to be normal and he was breathing normally. The weird connection buzz disappears. Without warning, he slithered off of the couch onto the floor and started doing these intense stretches. Then, he would roll into a new position and stretch again. His stretches were powerful as his arm pressed up against my leg with inhuman pressure. He then, after only 10 minutes, got up and looked around the room as if he had just been born again. We asked him if he was alright and he said he was better than ever. He had no memory of the movements. Songs playing, Agispolis and I by Aphex Twin. Cousin A decided to go next as maybe it would calm my paranoia a little to see him handle it. He took the hit and handed the pipe to me. I once again felt a connection buzz when he blew out the smoke, but this time it went away within seconds. He sat back and smiled without moving an inch. His breathing got slower and more relaxed. He seemed completely relaxed. Then, within 7 minutes, he suddenly started talking to me trying to calm me down enough to take a hit. Song playing, Haunted Indiana by Sandy Beach, I decide to go for it. I light the pipe according to careful instructions from Cousin A and clear the chamber. I hand him the pipe while still holding the smoke in. The smoke feels very heavy and with almost a plastic-like taste. I blow the smoke out and immediately the room breaks into individual tiled patterns. They change to the exact flowing of the piano in the background. I hear a voice faintly in the background. Sandy starts his vocal, and it seems to paint the landscape before me as the room turned, twisted and morphed itself into entirely new environments all to the flowing of the delicate piano lines that were now flowing with my body. Everything suddenly connected. The music and atmosphere were one. My body and the atmosphere were one. My body and the music were one. Everyone in the room was me and I was everybody in the room, and so these connections continued until, for a brief moment, the room reformed, and the high, or complete atmospheric revolution, faded. I had the time to look around the room and become aware of a conversation, then I heard it. Cousin A was talking to friend K and said imagine if sages, scientists, in the future came up with a machine that could capture a past memory and allow them to re-experience it. During this time the song Haunted Indiana is changing key and tempo, going into its second and final stage. Then, the 5-MeO DMT decides it is not done with me yet. It immediately reforms the oneness, but this time it is different. I become aware that I am experiencing an exact replica of my initial 5-MeO DMT trip, but this time through the eyes of someone else. I become aware of a large living crystal structure that is somehow responsible for everything being one. I then discover that this is the machine. It is the futuristic device of my cousin's pondering question. My memory is being re-experienced at that moment, and somehow, I am aware of it. The being that was the one experiencing my memory also became aware of my awareness, causing a sort of cosmic, non-verbal, thought-based communication across unexisting time. The communication being that of only the feeling of amazement and awe experienced the same between the two of us. Then, the song ended, and so did my trip as it quickly faded away with the reverb of the last piano strike 10 minutes later. I had noticed that friend K was leaving and had just said he'd be back later. Sister C now seems to be fully into her trip, and when asked if she wanted to try 5-MeO DMT, she simply smiled and said no, this is good. Cousin E stayed sober and acted as a sober sitter for the night. We agreed that friend K would probably take a hit when he came back. So, for an undecided amount of time we talked, laughed, and listened to countless songs over the course of our 5-MeO DPT trips. All except for my sister, who only smiled and never said much the entire night. We consistently asked her if she was okay just to be on the safe side, and she always looked up with a soft smile and said yes, this is good. Friend K came back eventually and decided to hit the 5-MeO DMT. Songs playing Nanu by Aphex Twin and Turquoise Hexagon Sun by Boards of Canada. He inhaled the smoke and handed the pipe to Cousin A. I felt an immediate connection buzz again. But this time, it is not so pleasant. He immediately jumped off of the couch onto all fours, facing the other couch in which were sitting Sister C and Cousin E. He growled so horribly, and it did not sound at all human, more like a primal animal of huge size proportions. This frightened Sister C and Cousin E so much, they jumped over the back of the couch. After hearing these growls, I become aware of other sounds he was making. Hisses, grunts, and even cartoon-like noises. All of which, still never sounded human. Cousin E, our sober sitter, is so frightened she decides to wait outside until his trip was over. Cousin A was focusing mainly on calming friend K down, but nothing got through. Then, Nanu ended and friend K fell back and laid still in a fetal position. The other two songs on the Aphex CD were very harsh, so Cousin A switched the tune to Turquoise Hexagon Sun. Good move, friend K immediately relaxed, but kept asking, what's in me? Am I dead? And one time I heard, who is in me? Then, as Turquoise Hexagon Sun ended, he emerged from his trip without ever recalling his radically unordinary and disturbing behavior. Cousin E came back and we explained everything was okay. Then, Sister C suddenly perks up and starts talking intensely, saying, if I remember correctly. I get it. Oh my god, I get it. It all makes sense. It all comes together. If you wish to change something in the future, you can affect it now, by just realizing it before it happens, and by free will you can change the events of time before it happens. You can even experience the future before it happens, then you will experience it again. Oh my god, it all makes sense. I know why you guys are the way you are. Then she sat back, smiled and started bobbing her head to Roy G. Biv by Boards of Canada. She had not done 5-MeO DMT as I had said earlier, but still talks about this time revelation and experimentation, which by my amazement is why she was so quiet the entire time. She was simply practicing her new gift of vision. She could soothsay her own immediate future for about 10 hours, resulting in what she describes, a very strange sense of déjà vu all the next morning. Everything we did the next day, she remembered in complete detail the night before ever doing them. Well, that about sums up the experience. Some after effects to note. I usually experience an intensely shitty hangover after a 5-MeO DPT trip. My sister noticed it as well. Nobody else that I know of experiences a noticeable hangover, although some report an afterglow. Both chemicals were, for me, well worth braving over. I still take 5-MeO DPT normally. And will definitely try 5-MeO DMT again. I am also very excited to try DMT now. Thank you for your time.